On today's show, we talk about Thunder Valley Sand Drag's season opener and the results from that. Then we talk about Thunder Valley Sand Drag's Bad Nationals coming up. Then we talk about the Mud Racers Association race that just happened at Upper Meramec Dirt Drags in Cook Station, Missouri. We talk about the Iceland race results from this past weekend and the kind of sad news that their sport is dying. We also talk about Dave's race at Silverback Off-Road Speedway. And then we talk about the Outlaw Sand Drag Series going to Silverback next weekend as well. And then we talk about the Franklin County Four-Wheelers race recap. And then we talk about Tri-County big money bracket race and possibly some hot takes from Caleb, Isaac, and the gang. So join us for this show. And don't forget, this show is brought to you by Racing in the Dirt.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
Dave's race, Southern Powersports Drag Racing Series at Silverback Off-Road Speedway, is brought to you by Mr. RPM Cycle in Denton, North Carolina. Designs, manufactures, and sells high-performance engine components for Can-Am engines and specializes in V-twin engines. They have an in-house dyno for all your mud, bog, and drag racing needs. They also have a full line of cams, heads, and they make their awesome billet aluminum V-twin block. They also do it in-house, ECU tuning, big bore kits, turbo, blower, and nitrous oxide builds as well. Please take a look at Mr. RPM Cycle for all your V-twin needs. Visit the website, MrRPMCycle.com. Once again, that's MrRPMCycle.com.
All right, it's just me, John, and Dave here, and we're actually going to talk about Dave's race that he just held at Silverback Off-Road Speedway, where John Sorg just goes on another tear. But we'll start with Dave. I know Dave is tired as hell. Shout out to Dave, first of all. Tired as hell. Did all he could to put on his race. He's been driving everywhere just to go racing and do this stuff. So first of all, shout out Dave. Thank you what you do, Dave. And just tell us about this weekend real quick. How'd it go?
Well, thanks, Billy. Well, as usual, you have a race, you plan it, and you hope for the best. And sometimes things go real well, and sometimes they don't. I got to say, this one, it went pretty good. There was some things that got missed on my part, and learned a little bit. And I'm going to go over that here in just a second. But overall, I think it went pretty well. I didn't really hear anybody complaining. I had some guys give me thoughts and ideas, which is what I wanted. So it went good. Silverback did a great job. I tell you, they remind me a lot of James at Shelton's, the way they do their track. Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's the same every single time, you know what I mean? And that helps the racers out. So hats off to, the guys at Silverback, Kyle, who runs the tower, Brett, that kind of the boss of the place. And you got Brody that runs it pretty much, and them guys did a great job, as they always do. And man, they even put a what do you call that, John, over the top of the concession?
Oh yeah, pavilion.
Yes, thank you. So now spectators, racers can go under there, grab a bite to eat, and they're under the shade. Really, really cool. New
That's very
concrete.
nice.
Yes, it was. They were definitely stepping up their game there at Silverback, and it was it changed a lot since I was there. It looks really good. But as far as the race goes, I was told by Kyle, Brody, and Brett at separate times that that's the most they ever had there on a Friday night since they've been there. So I got real excited when they said that, and they were as well. Now that may not count the Outlaw, which has been going on for years, and it probably doesn't count the side by side blog because they got people coming in. But for just a normal race coming in, they said that it was very, very good. So was happy about that. But I also had some people say they had graduations the next day. We had people on vacation. We had PSDA that's going on right now. So those guys were there. But overall, man, it went good. We had a good turnout. But John, before I get into this, is there anything that you want to say? Because I've got kind of a list here on my other phone. It's not showing up, I don't guess. But
Yeah.
and before I get into that, is there anything that you want to throw in before I get into this?
Yeah,
Oh,
John,
I
you went
think
on a
everything went
goddamn.
good.
Yeah,
Everything
go
went
ahead.
good. They had like you said, they got the tractors figured out. They graded fast. They graded consistent. They moved cars through. Everybody seemed pretty happy. It was all new to, the local group. So we were learning along with you, Dave, trying to figure out how, when, and, how to do things. But all in all, it came together really well.
Yeah,
Well,
plus you went on a goddamn tear, so I bet it went great for you.
Yeah. I might have had a little extra fun involved.
But I
well,
mean, the feedback I seen, it looked like everybody had a great time. The guys that went to the race, I seen some personal bests were ran as well. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah.
yeah, actually, that's part of what I want to talk about here in just a bit as well, is that personal best thing, because there was quite a few, not quite 3 or 4. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find something right now, so bear with me. But yeah, it went good. And I feel that there was a lot of talk from the locals that was coming up to me. And to be honest, they said that they didn't realize what was going on. They said that they seen the post, they seen this, but a lot of them thought it was just side by sides. And I guess I can see that, because if people that know me, they know that I'm pretty much the side by sides, not really into anything else. So they assume that's what it was. So that's something that's one thing that I needed to do better at, is to let people know what we're doing. Might have, I learned a little bit there. But I want to get into this stuff here real quick. So look, guys, I'm going to be upfront and honest with everybody. I'm not going to hold nothing back. If I make a mistake, John, Billy, we all know each other. You've met me. You know how I am. If I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you. And the things I'm getting ready to go over are some things that I need to work on. And I want to say this because I want the racers to know that it's not just something I'm throwing out there and then going home and forgetting about. I'm going to, adapt and overcome, I guess. I've got this stuff written down of what people have told me and asked me. And I'm going to do better at it. And I appreciate everyone that's come to me and give me their ideas and thoughts. I never had anyone come to me and say, "Hey man, I'm not coming back." There was all like, "We loved it. This was a great time. I think maybe this would help you. Maybe this would." And I took that in consideration. I wrote it down. So I'm going to strive to get this even bigger and better for the next one, which is Shelton's coming up here in July. But I'm going to go over some things. So one mistake that I made, and John will agree with this one for sure. Okay, so if I'm a local at a racetrack, and it doesn't matter if it's Silverback or Thunder Valley or Joe's track, whatever, it doesn't matter. If I'm a local there and I'm a weekend warrior, we race, we get done. If I get lucky and I win or runner up, I know I can go to the booth, grab my money, tell everybody bye, jump in the truck, and head home. Right. Well, where I messed up was I didn't let anybody know that I wanted to take extra pictures. So at Silverback, they all go down to the backboard and they take their picture with their vehicle if they haven't put it away yet. It's real quick, real easy, and they go on home. I didn't let nobody know that. I didn't think nothing about it. So all the money was split up, divided, sitting in the booth. And Brett's wife was in there, and she was a huge help. And I just, everybody was sitting there, and I was kind of waiting on the rest of the classes to get done. And I didn't know this till later, but there was some guys saying, "Man, why are we not getting paid? You know, we want to go home." I didn't know that until later. Right before I started handing it out, because Jon, you came to me, and it was Stoner. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. It was Jon.
Yeah. Yeah. He approached Jon. Jon got with me, and that's when it clicked. Like, wait a minute, man, kind of messing up here. So I went out there. We got him taken care of, so he can go home. Once the guys knew what I was trying to do, and we got next to the trailer getting the pictures, it like clicked. And I don't know, Jon, but I hope you can, I think you'll agree. As we were taking pictures and mentioning the winners and the runner-ups, it was nothing but claps, applause, good job. People were having fun. And then, then the mood changed. So that's one thing I could have done better. I should have let people know that that was my intention. The people that were out of town already knew. The locals didn't know, and that's where the problem came in. So I need to remember that. Time schedule was an issue. So we had some times down. It was general time, meaning what time are we going to do something? I think I need to do better on that. I had a couple guys ask me about time, and to be honest with you, we didn't know, because it was the first time that we've done it like this. So we were kind of going by with who showed up, how many showed up.
It depends on all about who shows up that day, you know, until you really throw it together.
Yes, but after talking to some guys, and I'm not going to mention any names, but after talking to some guys, they made sense. And what they said was, if you have a time schedule, you know, this is when the track opens. This is when time runs start. This is when we're going to attempt to run Class A, and then Class B is next, and whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever class it is, it doesn't matter. It makes sense, because at least guys know an idea. We all know at a drag strip, whether it's blacktop or dirt, it's really hard to hit that number, to hit that 3 o'clock schedule or that 5 o'clock. It's almost impossible. But I do agree with them. I should have done better at a time schedule. So we're going to work on that. We had Outlaw side-by-sides. We did double eliminations. Kind of messed up there. So I assumed, as well as the side-by-side Outlaw guys, that when we talk double eliminations, it means that the winner stays in the winners and the loser goes to the losers. The last man standing in the losers bracket runs the last man standing in the winners bracket, or not bracket, but the winners, you know, side. And that means that, you know, that the winner has not lost yet. The guy that, you know, has only lost once, but he's last man standing's got to beat him twice, and so on. Everybody knows how that works. We didn't go over that in the drivers' meeting. And so what Silverback done, and they did not do anything wrong at all. They just went as normal. So after our first round, they just threw everybody in the hat. We drew, you know, and they drew again. So again, that was my fault, and it won't happen again.
That's, you know, normal by us. We're used to that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of tracks do it the opposite. We don't draw every time. We've got a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket in each class, and the last man standing in each runs each other. So, Jon, as well as you've been doing, you know, let's say you win the winner's bracket side of it, and I get lucky, you know, I'm the last man standing in the losers. Well, I got to beat you twice. You only got to beat me once. And most of the tracks I go to is like that. So, and most people that follow me do it that way. So, not a big deal there, but just something that I've got written down. Announcing the sponsors. I did that a few times, but to all my sponsors, I got to apologize. I did not give a list to the tower like I should have. All right. So real quick, our sponsors, Mr. RPM Cycle, Angel Performance, The Bomb, Jeff Ross, HCL Contracting, M&P Racing, Resto Quad, National Junior Dirt Drags, High Tech Powersports, Equipment Repair and Services in North Carolina, Bernie Racing, Murray Powersports, Whalen Speed R&D. We've also got Kyle Austin Elliott there at Silverback that takes care of all the designs on the flyers and the post. And then we got my son Zach that does the website. So that's something that I learned that I need to do better at. There's something that happened though that John will know about. We were doing the drivers meeting, and man, I sure don't mean to bring nothing bad up, but guys, we've lost a lot of people that we know in racing. And John, I think you know where I'm going with this. And not necessarily that they lost their life during an event, but we've lost friends. So
Yeah.
I wanted to do something different this year, and that was have a moment of silence. And our sponsor, Jeff Ross, with the Bomb Racing, he done the prayer. And I can tell when we started talking about that, John, it hit some people. It hit some people right there. You know what I mean? And that was pretty good. I had some compliments on that. They're like, man, that was cool that you did that. So I'm going to continue doing that, a moment of silence for those that we lost. And then we did the national anthem. One thing I wanted to talk to Silverback about, and I didn't, is I prefer to have two vehicles, whatever the first class is, it doesn't matter what class it is. Before we do the national anthem, I want to have two vehicles at the starting line, give or take 5-6 feet away, whatever it is. You know what I mean? They are ready to fire them up. And then the other guys behind them. We do the national anthem, and really we should have done the prayer over the intercom, and we didn't.
Yeah.
So again, we're learning. I'm trying to make this bigger and better and do the right things, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. But I would love to have the prayer, the moment of silence, the national anthem, and as soon as that national anthem's over, say it Silverback, Brody was running the lanes. He looks at them and says, "Fire them up, boys, let's rock." And then they fire them up, and we go straight to racing. One thing that's always bugged me, and I'm not picking on Silverback because it happens everywhere. All right, is I think we as racers and we as tracks need to do a better job of having the national anthem at the right time. I really feel that as soon as it's over, there should be two cars fired up or vehicles, whatever it is, and heading down that racetrack, because there's nothing cooler than that.
That's what I do with my event. And I make sure I got 2 TE cars ready to roll.
Yep. And see that again, that's on my list that I need to do better at. I'm not blaming Silverback. That was me. So thanks to Jeff Ross again for doing the prayer. That was very nice. We're going to get to these. That's kind of the stuff that I feel I need to do better. And there's one last one. First and second place split. So I put it in as I took all the sponsorship money, which was $30,000 for this year. And I'm very happy about that. And I put in X amount for first place. This is a bonus for first place, So, John, I don't mean to, damn it. Billy, you say this really good. And I can't remember what is a spoiler alert. I don't mean to have a spoiler alert here, but, John, you obviously won Pro Comp, and you brought home a pretty healthy check there and some cash, but second place guy, he didn't.
Right.
So in the drivers meeting from here on out, thanks to Lonnie Angel's the one that brought this up to me today, and I thank him for it, is if there's not enough people in a class to make second place worth it, maybe we need to look at that guaranteed money for first.
Right.
Ask the drivers, how can we split it up? To make it worthwhile for all. So need to do that as well. But let's get to the main ingredients, man. Let's get to let me get to my picture here. Friday open bracket. Winner was Kyle, and John, you're going to have to help me with this. Wiedemeyer. So, yep. We ended up doing an open bracket on Friday night. And then John Van Vielen in that bad ass square body took second. We ended up we was going to do quick 16. We had quite a few people that was interested. The problem was we had a really wide gap between who was really quick and who wasn't. And it just wouldn't have worked out. It wouldn't have been fair. So in the drivers' meeting, we all got together and it worked out really well. We ended up having 6, really fast guys. And it worked out really well. Then we had what did we do, John? We ended up doing a 4.0 and slower, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 4.0 and
heads up.
slower and 3.99 and faster.
Yep. So in the 4.0 and slower, if you will, heads up, our own sponsor, Jeff the Bomb Racing, the Bomb Racing, Jeff Ross took first place in his 4-wheeler, and second place was John Stoner. And I'm going to tell you, it surprised me because that John Stoner's 4-wheeler is consistent. That thing, oh my God! Like you get up against that boy, you better have your shit in a group because that's tough. Then we went to the quick 6. That was it was the fastest guys on the property, pretty much. And Terry Wise takes the win in that one. And second place was Nick Cash. And Nick, the first time I met both them guys, super great guys. Nick's got a really good, cool 4-wheeler as well. We had our Pee-wees earlier. First place was Aurelia Earl. Did I say that right, John?
Yes.
Yep. And then second place was Isabel Pena. We went to our juniors. First place, Lauren Ensing. She was so tickled because if I remember right, she was driving Brody's Defender.
Yes.
And Brody told me a story that she went up. There was reason that they couldn't bring her side by side. And she asked Brody, if he had anything, he goes, well, you can drive the Defender. And she said, well, how fast is it? He goes, I don't know, 670s. And she's like, all right. So she drove it and she won. So good job to her. She run it up. So good job to her. And then she won. She won. And then we go to, we had the SPDRS bracket. And this one guy, Billy, I don't know what's going on here. But this guy named John Sorg won a fucking
That's weird.
game.
He's just an unstoppable force. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. And then we come back and we got John Stoner taking second again. Like these two were amazing. And then we go into I think
he ran right on the dial on that run.
Yes, he did.
Me,
I actually have that video. Yep, yes. I have that video. He ran a
you won the Battle of the Johns.
What's that, Billy?
He won the Battle of the Johns.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah, good point. And they are spelled the same.
Yes.
We've got Outlaw side by side. Go ahead, Billy.
No, I was just saying, John spelled the same. 3-letter John. The Battle of the 3-letter John. So there you go.
Bet John wins.
We go into our
shorter John wins, I bet.
He's same height.
we go into our Outlaw side by side. Outlaw side by side was pretty exciting. First place, Jason Bricker. Man, he was on a tear all day. That car, I don't know if he had any issues. It was running 360s all day.
That thing was cool. I've seen a video of it. I think it was sick.
Yeah, he did really well. And runner-up was Lonnie Angel. Now, there was a little bit of an issue there with some staging and whatnot that happened. We won't get into that here today, but not a big deal. But the reason I say we won't get into that today because I would like to maybe talk to these guys on a pod one day and get some ideas because these two are really good friends, and it was kind of cool what happened and the sportsmanship that both Jason and Lonnie showed each other. And a lot of people don't know what happened, but it was really, really cool. But congratulations to both of them, especially Lonnie, because Lonnie, that was his first time in like over a year that he was able to race a whole weekend, and his car did fantastic. I think his quickest was a 374, if I remember correctly. He did really well. We go to Pro Comp, and I don't know, man. This is number 2. Mr. John Sorg takes it again. And there is a video of me, you, and Billy talking about Pro Comp a couple weeks ago. And when I said the possibility of how much money we could possibly hand out if we had enough people, you perked up and Billy called it right there on that podcast. You remember that? Billy, you stood up and was like,
probably don't
that was
remember.
that was funny because whenever you mentioned how much money could we have grass, because he all perked up like this. I don't.
Yeah. It was almost something like this. Like you don't see John, and then you start talking about money, and all of a sudden John's like,
Oh,
what?
wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Talking about.
And then we go to 460 index. John Van Vliet in that daggone badass. I don't even know what that thing. I love that truck. Oh my
Thing's
God, I love
sick.
that truck. He got first place in 460 index, and he took the win over Casey Smith. I think Casey was on one of his four-wheelers at the time. And Casey is also one of our sponsors of HCL Contracting. So
Hey, real
that
quick,
was nice.
before you, John beat Tom Hartman in the final of Pro Comp. Tom Hartman's a freaking dog. He's a legend.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Tom Hartman. You're right. I got talking about John.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Hartman, man. That guy's cool.
He's the GOAT, man. When it comes to that, he's the GOAT.
That guy's really cool. Like
yeah.
I like Tom.
Been doing it forever. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, Billy, because that was another time that we didn't split that money. And I went over to Tom and I gave him a brand new Milwaukee tire inflator with a battery charger and battery because I felt bad because I made a mistake and I didn't split the money up right. So me and Brett went over there and seen him while he was leaving, and he was smiling ear to ear. I'm like, buddy, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I want to give this to you. And it was something that was given to me by one of my tool guys in South Carolina, a guy named Jesse with Matco, to help out with our racing. And yeah, so Tom was cool. Tom was really cool. Yeah. And and I apologize, Tom, for not putting that in. Thank you, Billy, for catching that. 460 index, first place, John Van Vliet. Second place, Casey Smith. We go to 420 index. World record holder takes it, Hunter Javin. Hunter Javin had a FP Green on his car at the time, so it was not a stock turbo. And he gets the win over Greg Laughlin, who was in my car, driving my car. Yeah, it was John can tell you, Billy, it was a very, very busy day for me. I was running between my car and everything. It was fun. Oh my God, it was fun. 4.0 index, John Stoner, finally. So here's the thing: we got three Johns. Both Johns took placed 3 times. So from now on, anybody named John with a Jon, you can't come. You got to give other people a time. You got to give them a chance.
Because John Van Vliet he podiumed twice.
Oh yeah, he did.
Jon too, ain't it?
Oh my gosh, this is insane.
Sure
He's Jon, ain't it?
All right, anybody named any 3-letter Johns out there are just automatic killers in the sport. Yeah,
they're just badasses.
Yeah.
Apparently you're born with it, huh?
Wait. Are they short also?
No, John Van Vliet's
Vliet
over 6 foot.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. John Stoner's everybody's taller than John Sorg, so it really doesn't matter, Billy.
Yeah. Now wait a minute, Dave.
Oh, I knew this was coming.
I gotta get that side by side of us by the trailer and see. I gotta check this out.
Competition. And then Casey Smith runnered up to John Stoner in the 4.0 index. So Casey, he got in there twice too. Pretty cool. And I think I forgot somebody. Juniors, sorry, Chase Kody. I forgot to mention you. Chase runnered up to Lauren Ensing in the juniors, and I apologize for that. And then finally we go to 380 index. John Sorg again. He gets the win over Mike Bolliard. Was that right, John? Bolliard?
Yeah, and that was a good tight race too.
That was probably the closest race in the finals, if you will, that we had all night.
Yeah,
That
it
that
was
was
tight.
that was
Awesome.
good. We go to
Good shit, John.
340 index. Terry Wise. Terry's a trip. I finally got Terry's cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
like Terry.
Terry's
He's
And
a
a rock.
dog.
yep. And then I got to meet Roger Gerio, and he runnered up to Terry Smith in the 340 index.
What was he running?
The dragster.
Yeah, the
The
Dusty
twin-
Dungeon car, the twin
Oh,
turbo.
hell yeah. I love that car.
That thing rocks, man.
The Silver Lake
does.
legend.
Yeah.
He had it out without the body, if I remember right, didn't he? For a little bit, John. He ran it without the body.
He may have.
Absolutely
I don't
not.
really remember it without the body though, but he may have.
He needs
It was
a body.
white, like the frame's white.
He needs a body on at all times. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Terry Wise's car without
Oh,
the
that was
body.
Terry. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. I'm
Terry.
sorry. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That's correct.
That was it.
Yep.
Terry
And then
was
our
driving
last
without his
one.
body.
Our last one is our 320 index. And for those that want to come to SPDRS, I did something that I promised everyone. If you go into one of the classes and you're the only one there and you can prove that you fit that class, we're paying you. You make the run, we'll pay you. And it just so happened to be that in 320 index, John McCall, if I'm saying that right, if I'm
Yes.
not, I'm sorry. He took first place with, man, it's a tough beat. That thing is wicked. That's an LS, right?
Yes.
With a turbo on it and like a sand rail buggy thing.
Yes.
Where I'm sitting up at the concession stand. I had just got one of Silverback's burgers. And I hear something and I look back and it just sounds quiet. It's just like this.
Doodle around
I
the
don't
pits
know.
with it, you know?
It wasn't loud at all. And I just turned around and I'm like, holy shit. And he ran I think it was a 321 or 322. And like, it wasn't making any noise. What the hell is that? So I went over and met the guy and whatnot. But yeah, he's super cool guy. And again, he was the only one that signed up. He made the pass. He got the check. And that's what we do. So that's how that went down. Hunter Javin runs a 428 with an FP green from Whalen Speed. That is, so an FP green turbo is the exact same size outside as a stock RR Can-Am turbo. The insides are different. I never thought that car went that fast. That was impressive. Dan Norman, he runs his personal best ever with a 397 with an engine that he built with the help of D&M doing some tuning. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Lonnie Angel, his best ever 374 with a new engine with the help of Whalen Speed, doing the tuning on his. We got Trevor Dana and with Brody Pinier driving his car, and he ran a 356 with a 6, and he backed it with a 355, if I remember right.
I think you're right. Because I've seen the time slips.
356 and a 7.
55 and 56 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Billy, I'm going to let you. What did he do while he was at my race there at Silverback?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't really know what class he broke the record in, but he broke a world record.
46 mil.
46 mil, whatever class that is. I'm not
Yep.
I don't know. Hold on, I'm trying to find the time.
Yep, that's okay. He broke the 46 millimeter record. I think his mile an hour was 80. I don't want to say it because I don't have it with me.
356 with a 6 and then 357 with a 0.
That's right, 357 with a 0. So congratulations to Trevor Dana,
Absolutely.
Rob Long, and Brody Pinier and Whalen Speed, because that's a really big team right there. And they all worked together, which was fantastic. I ended up getting my car to go to fastest it's ever been at Silverback with a 397. So I was happy with that.
There you go. 3's at 2 tracks for you.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So it went good. I think that pretty much covers it right now, I believe.
All in all, sounds like a great weekend.
It was. I mean, Brent did tell me, the owner of Silverback, one of the owners, did tell me that He goes, man, he goes, June's just a bad month. And I think we all know that. June's a bad, we've got, you know, it was Father's Day
June
week,
sucks.
the graduations, the kids are out of school, so everybody's going on vacation. At the time, though, that was the only date they had, and I went with it. I'm glad I did. It was really, you know, we had a great time. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Shelton's coming up. John, do you have anything to add to it? Have I missed something here? You know, we don't want to make this go on forever, but if you can think of something I may have missed.
No, yeah, I mean, you've pretty much covered it all. I just had a great time meeting a new crowd of people. I mean, it was a different crowd. They race different. They do things different. But at the end of the day, they got the same goals, the same objectives, and they all want to have fun and
Yes,
go fast.
and I did miss somebody. Austin Hall. He ran his personal best, and I believe it was a 4:38. He's never been that fast, and he's with Evo, and Evo is working on that car, you know, dialing it in, and that happened to be, he'd just come off the dyno, and they were working on it throughout the day, and they still have some things to fix and get it right, just like any other tuner. But they did get it to a 3:38 or 4:38, which for a, I mean, it's thing can go into trails. It's like hunters. You can turn around and go into trail. So
Wow.
pretty impressive. And Lonnie Angel also wanted me to mention his brother Mark, because his brother Mark does a lot to help, you know, Angel Performance, as well as Daco. Daco Belts is a sponsor for Lonnie as well. So anyways, one of the things that happened over the weekend that was really, it was kind of fun. A lot of people got a kick out of it is I had ended up having to run John Sorg there. And I had already won a round, and this was Friday, if I remember right, John. Wasn't it Friday night?
I think it was
Friday night.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, so I jumped in a bracket race Friday night. Car's running fine, everything's going great. I jump in it. Well, Hunter Javin drove my car before that in one of the, I think it was a 4.0 index or something class. And he ran it and it sputtered. And he come back to me and he goes, Dave, I don't know what happened. I'm like, man, it's fine. I said, she'll be good. Just had a problem. He's like, all right. I jump in against John. We took off and mine sputtered and popped and cracked. And I'm like, what the fuck? I barely made it back. Obviously John got the win. I barely make it back. I barely make it up the hill, and it just died right before the trailer. Just so everybody knows, check your fuel and make sure you have gas in the vehicle, no matter what it is. So me and John are talking, and John's like, let's do it again, man. So we did it Saturday night after everything was done. We went back out there, and John, I think, John, you barely got me on. We both didn't have a good tree, but you got me just by a little bit.
Yeah, you had a 240 something light.
What's that?
You had a 240 something to my 070 or something like that.
No, I don't think it was that far off.
Are you sure?
I
was surprised that you had such a slow light, because remember how I let you go in so you could get set, and you're like,
well,
man, I was a little
giving
late.
you a chance. I was just giving you a chance.
Oh, that's cool then. Well, you didn't say so.
So anyways, we get up there and John kicks my ass on the tree. We take off. Man, it was fun. We get to the end. John gets the win. But that was a good time. That was a good time. And I just wanted to throw that in there real quick because I run out of gas. We went to run it again, and
see, that's something with you guys that I learned, though. You guys will not fill a gas tank on a side-by-side. I'll fill my tank on my car.
Well,
you guys, I think you try to put what, maybe 2 gallons in that thing to keep it
we
light.
run typically 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I got about 7.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen again. Hopefully we get a chance to run again. Doesn't mean I'll beat you, but I want to run you again. Let's see what happens.
We got to do it again. It's always fun.
Absolutely. It was a good time.
Winner races the mini bike.
All right. We got to take on 000 Billy.
That's right. 001, baby.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I was close. I had an 011.
Ooh.
Yes. And I think you had an 017 that weekend, didn't you?
Yeah.
And hey, think about Steven, Michael Vanderveer. Lets my best buddy, Steven Hacker, who is
That
in a
was cool.
wheelchair, lets him run his Pro R, not only just the race, all weekend. Like he was driving it everywhere. Michael was so cool with Steven.
Dude, he had the time of his life. He was having a riot.
I have no idea how many runs he went down that track. And Steven made it to the semifinals in bracket on, it was Friday.
I think it was Friday, yeah.
Yeah, because I think you put him out. I think you beat him in the semifinals. And if I remember right, but either way, Steven he had a blast. Man, it was just a good time. It was a great time.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was.
John, me and you, we got to run him again, buddy.
We'll do it, brother.
All right, man. We'll see you on the next one. But I think that's it, guys. I'm looking forward to the next one. I learned a lot, and I appreciate those that came up to me and gave me some ideas and some pointers. And we're just going to make it better the next time around.
When's the next one?
July 25th, 27th, Shelton's Dirt Drag, Stanford, Kentucky. And that track hooks hard. Holy cow, that track hooks hard. That's a fast track.
Southern Powersports Drag Racing Series. Had a great time at Silverback Off-Road Speedway. Heading to Shelton's Dirt Drags next in July. What's the dates again? I forgot.
July 25th through the 27th.
July 25th through 27th. Next race for Southern Powersports Drag Racing Series.
Trucks, Jeeps, dragsters. Yeah, we've got some guys that are interested in maybe doing a 295. That's not a big 295 race, but anyone is welcome. You know, if you come on down, let's make this thing big, and everything's welcome.
Yes, sir. Be there.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires. Scott Shane and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Kody, Damian, and John, and we're going to talk a little bit about the season opener, Thunder Valley Sand Drags. Now, Kody, you weren't there, but you've got some results for us. Can you go and take it away on that?
Yeah, looks like a lot of familiarity in the winner circles throughout the weekend. 2 kiddos classes, Pee-wees, juniors. Pee-wees is, of course, 10 and younger. Juniors, 11 years of age to 15. Riker Ballard taking the win in the Pee-wees, and Gabe Johnson as runner-up. Juniors was Chase McLaughlin. Runner-up was Cole Ballard. Now, Chase McLaughlin, cool little story about him. He has this little snowmobile-powered junior dragster, and it's actually John Moreland's, for people who know Johnny Speed. It's John Moreland's car that his son used to race back in the day. And he let that racing team basically let Chase race it. He won the points last year in juniors, and he took first again. So it's pretty cool to see.
Nice.
The Ballards, they just started racing. Riker and Cole, they're brothers. They just started racing a few years ago, and they're already like, you know, if you're running against them, you know they're pretty tough. So Chase beating Cole, that's pretty impressive because, like I said, Cole's pretty tough. Looks like no car classes There was 2 top eliminators,
Yeah.
Terry Glasscock and Hunter Shelton. They were out there testing tuning. And then Craig McNeil, I guess, had his little world's fastest Yerf dog vehicle out there, but no class for him to run in. Seemed like they might have let him run it in a trophy ATV class or something, but I'm not sure of that.
Gotcha. I was gonna ask about that if he was running the little buggy or if it was the bike.
Yeah, he probably, if he wanted to. If you guys aren't familiar with our format, we run all the trophy classes out, and then we switch to the money. Craig only runs in the money, and he has a different vehicle per class. So he has to take one to the starting line, race, run back to his pit, grab another one, bring it up to the starting line, and rinse and repeat for all 3 vehicles. So he's running around. So if he's like, going rounds, he's sweating his ass off.
He's a busy bee.
Then again, that's not much different than double entering around here, but we do one car with 3 people driving it.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd be a little bit easier.
Yeah, at least Craig's vehicle gets a break in between rounds. He just
That's true.
Exactly.
Let's get into those. I know before we get into where Craig was racing, you got the sport ATV class. One of you guys is regulars, Seth Curtis, taking the win over Parker Whittle.
Yes.
So
Cool
congrats,
thing
Seth.
about Seth and Parker, they both used to race. I remember my brother and I, when we were like teenagers, maybe. Those guys are racing in like juniors and peewees. Seth, to my knowledge, he never stopped racing. Like we're seeing a lot of people that raced when they were kids. They took a break, in their teenage years. They're coming back as young adults because they have money. Parker's one of those. Him and his family, we hadn't seen them in 10 years or more, and now they're back out with like 4 bikes, 3-4 bikes, and Parker's doing really well. I think he won one of the money ATV classes a year or 2 ago, and it was like a real big field, I remember. But anyway, side-by-side class. Mackenzie Evans, for those who don't know, that's actually Hunter Shelton's fiance, and she's won a handful of these side-by-side classes. Runner-up Russ Bailey, trading in his altered for side-by-side, looks like.
That's gotta feel like the whole world's just standing still in that side by side compared to the top eliminator altered.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess he has this Ford powered buggy that he races, and that's like a 4.5 second car. I bet even in that it feels like Sunday drive. Money ATV classes, Pro 2 ATV, 5 flat and slower. Tory Pitts getting the win, Craig McNeil runner up, and then the Pro 1 ATV 499 and faster. Craig getting the win there, Craig McNeil, and Josh Hibden runner up.
Now, was that Josh's? I think I saw some stuff from them. They brought out a new no bar triple. Do you know if that was the bike that they runnered up in?
No,
it was the bar bike.
Yeah, it was the bike that, and I've just seen videos, but I'm pretty sure the bike that he got runner up in the unlimited ATV class at Atoka, that was the same bike he raced with in this class.
Gotcha.
So,
and like you said, not enough cars to have a full car class other than a couple of eliminator cars out there testing. So, guys, if you guys are around Grand Valley, Missouri, get out there, bring the cars out, because I'm sure that they would love to at least get you guys down on the points and stuff. That was your guys' season opener.
Yeah, they would. It's been unfortunately, it's been dwindling like really bad. A lot of the guys who used to race, we used to have like literally dozens of cars like way back in the day, early years of Thunder Valley. But throughout the years, it's like the guys coming into the sport, they want to race ATVs versus cars. So like a lot of the car racers, they're older, and they're just to the point where they don't care to race anymore. It's unfortunate, hopefully there can be some kind of uprising of younger people that want to race cars, but in the Missouri scene right now, it's not looking like that. But I'll just a real quick note on Pro 2 ATV, Tory Pitts, another person who raced when he was young, in the juniors and peewees. Took a big break, came back, and he's got the win. So that's cool to see.
Yeah, it's awesome to see people come back to the sport. Definitely need that to happen, and hopefully we'll get some younger folks in some of those cars, like you said, that have took a step away as well.
I know the mud racing scene out that way is very big. If only we could really get them to sort of jump the fence to come and check the place out.
Yeah, I mean the soil there is very similar to a lot of fast track setups that we see for dirt and mud drag racing in that area, kind of the loamy dirt. So it'd be a good deal.
And our track operator would work the track every pass for you, even.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have a fresh track every time. So
There you go.
come on with yourselves.
Awesome. So that's going to wrap up the recap there for the Thunder Valley Sand Drag season opener.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
And Isaac is joining us here. Isaac, you were just out at the MRA, what became their season opener due to the rain out in Florida, the Upper Meramec Dirt Drags. Tell us a little bit about that race, some results and stuff, and how the weekend went.
So we got out there on Friday. It was warm, to say the least. It is a fantastic facility. Greg Booker has literally built an amazing track in his property. It is not where his house is. He has a barn there, but they've got a great track set up. It's a hayfield, and then they have and we've got some video of the John Deere with the field cultivator behind it, ripping the track and stuff. Really, really nice facility. It's got some great spectator seating where people can set up and kind of stay in the shade during the day and stuff like that. So very impressive. Friday night had somewhat catastrophic failure with the timing system. We were getting some readings, or they were getting some readings, I should say. Not quite what they were looking for, and they ended up going to doing some heads up race, basically just using the tree and doing some old school heads up racing, side by side. It was really cool. They still put on a really good show for the fans. I mean, it could have gone a lot worse, but they made the best of the situation. Concession stand was on point Friday night. The food was excellent. It was just really very impressive. So what they decided to do was Saturday, they ran all the classes. So they ran everything they would have run Friday night. They took an hour intermission, and then they started again with their regular Saturday night program. So there was a lot of racing on track on Saturday. Really good show, very competitive, and it wasn't done super late. I think we were done. We were all wrapped up by 10:30 at night. So I mean, it was, but the spectator count, I gotta say, the spectator count both nights was as good as I've seen at a sand/dirt drag race in quite a while. I mean, I would say Friday night, easily they were in the 350 people-ish. Saturday night, they were probably closer to 500 plus. So that was very impressive. I mean, the people really came out to support the track, and they got a good show. You know, they really did. So
Yeah, didn't let the heat keep them away. We definitely have seen how those catastrophic timing system failures can affect an event, and good on the MRA staff for going through and kind of calling that audible and saying, hey, we got people here, the cars are here, let's do something, let's send somebody down the track.
yeah, it was really good that way. And it was nice, and it kind of gave some guys, maybe a test hit or two, in that as well. So one thing that when we got to the track on Friday, we found out that Greg Martinez, that owns the former Racing in the Dirt car that Shane Orogi won a championship in, had actually crashed that car Thursday night during a test session down there. And yeah, Greg, hope you're feeling better. Hope everything's healing well. But Greg and the car out of commission for the weekend. So kind of a bummer there, but glad to see that Greg was okay. And and that, he was still all right, when we got there on Friday. So.
Oh, he was still at the track?
He was. Yep. They had not left back to New Mexico yet, at least on Friday when we got there. So
definitely always a good thing when you can have an accident like that and somebody can get out of the car and still be okay and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. He was still a little under the weather, but he was, like I said, still there at least. And I think they pulled out maybe Saturday morning sometime to head back. So.
Gotcha. And so obviously timing system being down didn't really get a lot of ETs out of that. So I know we had some people asking what different trucks had run. Some different videos we posted don't really have very good news for you guys on that end.
No, unfortunately not. Not anything from Friday. As far as I know, and from what I was told, they did not feel that anything Friday really was quite legit time wise, and stuff. So they were getting some early in the run numbers that people agreed were fairly legit. So yeah. So, we'll they at least we're getting some data, as the guys would say. So.
So did they get the timing system all squared away for Saturday's events, or was that still
They
kind
did.
of?
Yep. By the time I got to the track a little after noon on Saturday, they had the timing system all back up, running again. Everything seemed to be right, and they were doing some testing, and yeah, good to go. So,
yeah. What's up, Damian?
On the note of the timing system, they run a porta-tree system, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Do you know what they did to fix the issue?
Let's go next question.
Well, the reason I asked that is something we'll talk about later with Franklin County.
Yeah. Porta-tree, solid timing systems, but obviously, I always like to say this is that anytime that you're introducing electrical systems with dirt and water, things get screwy sometimes. And I don't care what kind of surface you're racing in, whether it's sand like Silverback or, loamy dirt or clay, it gets weird.
Yeah. And part of the thing is too, where this track is, it's actually on the Booker Farms property, but it's kind of it is definitely down in a valley, and the cell service is pretty much non-existent there. So trying to call out to get any kind of help or tech assistance is pretty difficult. So.
Yeah, that always does make it tough. I'm looking up here. Let's get into some results for it. I'm just pulling up their page right now. Let's go and start with.
Let's start with Super Stock.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in Super Stock, our number one qualifier was Gage Lombazio with that all-in Jeep Scrambler. At a 309 with a 2. Steve Butcher, who I believe Damian has met down at Cleves with that black Dark Horse Bronco. all black 69.
That is a
I believe,
nice piece.
yeah, I believe it used to be called the Straw Boss, maybe something like that.
Yes, it had a blower
Yeah.
motor in it way back when.
Yeah. Well, big cubic inch, big block Ford now. 309 with a 4 was your number 2 qualifier. And then David French with the repercussion Jeep was your number 3 qualifier to 311. The repercussion Jeep, I'll just say I had a chance, and David was very open, and everybody, I should say that. Everybody was very open to anything we wanted to ask or want a picture or anything like that. David was gracious enough to take some time with that Jeep. We were kind of walking around, kind of showed us around and everything on it. The fit and finish on that thing, I got to say, is very good. It is flat out amazing for a fabricated car. That thing is really impressive. How everything fits right, everything has a place. I was really impressed. So when we got to eliminations, we ended up with a final of Gage Lambazio, your number 1 qualifier, versus Mr. David French, your number 3 qualifier, and it ended up being Gage Lambazio with a 312 taking the win to David French's 350. Now, that being said, David French, you can see in the video, that thing came out of the hole. He actually had a little bit of a starting line advantage, I believe like a 106 to a 130 bulb, and that thing was on a pass. And I found out afterwards, and the front end came way, way up on it. And I talked to him afterwards, and he said, actually, the wheelie bar mount broke, and that's why the front end came up so high on that thing. So I think it would have been an awesome, awesome final had that not happened. Considering both guys, Gage and David French, had both run 308 in the semifinals. So those guys were looking to really could have come down to reaction time in that final. But once the wheelie bar broke, front end way up for David French, and Gage Lambazio took the win and took her out the big end. So congratulations, both those guys. Really good super stock class this weekend. So I believe they had 8 or 9 trucks in it.
Definitely
looks
a
like,
fun class to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the added element of it's the only heads-up class.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with the added, you're actually qualifying and then actually racing, off a ladder. So.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that don't know, a lot of the MRA classes, they're basically, you're trying to set quick time. So essentially, your racing really is like a qualifying effort. Best time of the event after 2 runs takes home the win. So that Superstar class, really cool to see them still racing heads up side by side.
Very much so.
What distance are they running?
That 200 foot was this weekend.
Okay.
So we're still looking, 312 for the
Kody-
win there. If you add an extra 100 feet, I mean, that still is a mid to high 3 pass. Like it's still for especially the weight of those trucks, it's quite impressive.
I believe minimum weight on those trucks is like 3,400 or 3,500 pounds. So.
Wow.
With that, what you mentioned on the time, I know the Bronco, the Dark Horse Bronco, I know at Cleves ran a best of a 394.
394. So there
Yeah.
you go.
And that's a lot looser surface than what you had out there in Missouri.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So let's see. Next class pro stock. You want to get in that, Isaac?
Yeah. Let's go to pro stock. So pro
now
stock,
we're getting into those actual setting the quick time to get the win.
correct. Pro stock, I have down here, they had 9 trucks. Your pro stock winner is also your event host, Mr. Greg Booker in the American Outlaw, with a 264 with a 2. Second place was Randy George in the Thunderstruck Jeep. That kind of lengthened out Jeep, big single carburetor motor, 268 with an 8, followed up by Rick George in the Saturday Night Special, like 30s Ford pickup, that white one, 270 with a 7. And then Sam Lambazio, Gage's dad, with his T bucket, running a 283 with a 5. And then rounding out 5th place was Mike Latham with a 297 with a 2. So
Run a little bit off the pace there, but very cool to see all those cars out there.
yeah, and you got to
Let's
remember
see.
with Pro Stock as well, a lot of the guys that run Outlaw Pro Stock actually jump to the modified class instead of going back to the Pro Stock class, because they can spray in both classes. So a lot of
More
your
data,
Outlaw
more
Pro-
data, more data.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot, and a lot of guys, hey, I mean, if you got a good tune-up, for the nitrous, why would you run aspirated, just to basically bump down a class, so to speak? So understandable that when we get to the Outlaw Pro Stock class, which was 14 trucks, why a lot of those guys don't bump down into the Pro Stock class. They actually bump up into the modified class. So, and are very competitive when they get there.
Yeah, so let's get into that Outlaw Pro Stock. So correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac. Outlaw Pro Stock is a cuts only class?
Correct. Yep. Cuts only. Yeah. Power adders, I mean, blowers, nitrous, but it's got to look like a truck. It's got to, people look at it, they got to think truck, basically. The majority of the trucks in Outlaw Pro Stock would be Pro Truck legal, Pro Truck Elite legal even. A lot of them are still the left-hand steer, we'll say, and very full-bodied truck. Like Wayne Bonaker's not so much, only because that motor is so massive they can't get a hood around it. I mean, but yeah, most of these trucks though in that class would definitely be Pro Truck / Pro Truck Elite legal. So yeah. Anyway,
This is like this is essentially like the pro mod class, like from pavement put onto dirt.
Absolutely.
It's redneck cousin, same type of deal. You can do any power adder, but it's got to be a full sized, vehicle, look like a truck.
Yep.
I think it's cool.
And I tell you what, that is, it's still, I mean, obviously the big cars, the big blower, open paddles, open cuts classes, are still the fastest cars. But I'm going to say and even I saw this, in person, the Outlaw Pro Stock trucks are definitely the most popular when it comes to the fans walking around, taking pictures and stuff like that. I mean, really, really, really a fan favorite there. So our Outlaw Pro Stock winner in the Havoc, Colorado, Chris Bonaker with a 25356. Second place was Kelby Ladner with that Patriot Blazer with the big blown Noonan motor in it, 25358. So I mean,
that's close.
Yeah, very, very tight. Wayne Bonaker was third with a 255 with a 4. Will Harrison, that beautiful new truck that we saw, that silver, gray, and black Chevy pickup that's all over the place, ran a 255 with an 8. And Greg Booker, your Pro Stock winner, 266 with a 5. So Greg, very consistent, with those 2 times. And you can just see, one class puts him at the top of the heap. You move up to Outlaw Pro Stock and you're you're still top 5. So that was, like I said, 14 trucks in that class. So, I mean, very, very popular, and some really, really interesting rides there, as far as, all, and just different manufacturers, different stuff. So, yeah, very impressive. So, definitely a crowd favorite and really interesting class to watch.
And like you said, so moving on into that, a lot of those competitors also raced in the modified class. Now, the modified class, this is a nitrous only class, right? No superchargers, no turbos in this class.
Correct.
So basically, the only difference is that you're open a lot more on your chassis configuration. So the modified class, both cuts and paddles, because they run this in 2 different configurations. you're going to see a lot more rails, altered chassis, dragsters, as well as some of the Outlaw Pro Stock trucks.
Correct. So you're talking, 150-inch or less chassis, whatever that looks like, whether it's, a pickup or a Jeep or even, rear engine car. You see a lot of those, like you said, dragster chassis in that class. And, but the full body cars still hold their own very well. So.
Oh, definitely. I know that earlier this year, Wayne Bonneker, the self-inflicted truck you mentioned earlier, where the engine's just so big they can't put a hood on it. He ran at the Daryl Jones Fastest the Fast in their gnarly nitrous shootout without nitrous and ran within 2/10 of the fastest time of the class.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That truck is fast, no doubt about it. So, anyway, so for modified cuts, Keith Mitchell in the Magician, which is at that big Sonny's massive mountain motor in it, and that is a rail, was class winner at 255. Robert Gallagher driving Jason Massey's car managed to sneak in there in second in a 259. Caleb Dunsavage in the Color Me Gone rail at a 268 was third. Jamie Suter in the 66 pickup at a 274. Jamie also had a 001 reaction time in modified cuts, which helped get him into that spot because this is the class where they were adding the reaction time to the ET. So the ET, the time you're hearing might seem a little slow, but that's actually reaction time plus ET to give a combined time. And then
that
Casey,
was the first time that they did that as well, right, Isaac?
They actually pick a class and they let the guys know before the event even happens. They let the guys know, like Florida was actually supposed to be the I believe Keith Mitchell told me it was supposed to be the blower cars in one of the open classes. So anyway, that was supposed to be the class that had it in Florida. But when Florida got rained out, obviously, then they moved on to Missouri here, and Missouri was the modified cuts. Now the next one might be Outlaw Pro Stock. I think it might be the next one, and then I think it might be open cuts. Maybe is the last, at the last race or something like that. So they move it between the original 4 classes that MRA had. They move it between each one of those. So one of those classes per event has that that deal with adding the reaction time and the ET together to give you the best overall winner. So, and then Casey Lawyer with that white 36 Ford strategic attack out of Illinois was 5th with a 281. So he had a nice, I think, like an 055 light as well. So really 15 cars in that class. So really good turnout, much like the Outlaw Pro Stock, and really good mix of rails versus, full body trucks and everything else. I mean, very cool. So
definitely. And then they went in and swapped for the paddles for the second portion of the Saturday program, which would have normally been the only class that they would have run. And
correct.
That's where they got rid of the combined reaction time and ET. And now if you guys want to do the little bit of mental math, you can start figuring out what their reaction times were. So Isaac, take it away with the modified paddles.
So, and interestingly enough, this is all modified paddles is also where you see it's purely rails at this point. All the trucks have dropped out at this point. They'll run the cuts, but you don't see them run the paddles, only because if you think about it, if you're running Outlaw Pro Stock, you can only run cuts anyway. Now you don't have to buy another set of tires. You don't have to, possibly do work on a chassis setup and that sort of thing. You can just stay with one thing, what you know. Anyway, so modified paddles. First place, Jason Massey, which, like I said, Robert Gallagher drove his car to a 259 in a second place finish in modified cuts. Jason Massey wins modified paddles with a 224. Caleb Dunsavage, the Color Me Gone machine, second place with a 225 with a 6. Keith Mitchell comes back from his modified cuts win to take third with a 233 with a 7. Justin George out of George Racing Camp takes a fourth with a 239 with a 6. And Daniel Kerher with the Troublemaker car, big Bischoff Engine Services power plant there, 262 with an O. So, and 7 cars in modified panels. Now, here's where things get interesting, and this may have been why I was a little late getting on tonight. 2 cars in this group actually did not pass tech on Friday night. Both cars were a little too long in the wheelbase. Both teams decided instead of packing up and going home, they took an inch to an inch and a half out, re-welded things together, moved suspensions around, borrowed pieces and parts. Multiple teams were in on this deal, helping these guys out and everything else. And those 2 cars finished 1 and 2 in the class. I'd say that was some work that was worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. Jeez.
When I first heard it, I was like, "Wait, what? Are you
Normally you
serious?"
hear that and you're just like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll pack it up. We'll go home. We'll fix it later.
Well, when you think about it, like because you said Jason Massey got second there, or
Jason
First
Massey won
in
the class there
modified.
in mod paddles.
okay, they came from friggin' West Virginia. Is their home region. And you have Eric Bidlack, he's there. You have so many chassis guys there. The Racing in the Dirt guys there. I guarantee you, there's 4 or 5 welders on property. Because
Yep.
I know in the past, Kevin Harrison with the Harrison Logging Open Class car has smacked guardrails, bent the frame when the front drive shaft broke, and they fixed the car for the next day.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, amazing, and really speaks to, I think Keith Mitchell said it best when I was talking to him earlier. He said, he says, everybody pitched in. He says, because I don't want to beat you because, your chassis hurt or something's hurt. He goes, if I'm going to beat you, I want you to beat you at your best. I want to bring my best. I want you to have your best, and let's get it on and have a go for it. And man, I love that. And shout out to Keith for giving us some time and just being an all-around good guy this weekend. Any questions I had, Keith was more than happy to stop and answer them and stuff. And yeah, really impressive. One thing I'll say is, as far as the event itself, even every kid, when they came in, through the gate, got an autograph card, and it was a simple card. It had the MRA sponsors around the outside of it, but it had big empty space in the middle. It was for autographs and stuff. I literally saw guys, and maybe there were some other classes that did it too, but I literally saw guys in the mod classes, kids walking around in between grades, and guys fully belted in cars, getting a card stuck in front of them and holding up their hand for a Sharpie and signing an autograph. And I'm like, man, that is awesome. It was fantastic. I loved it. And just kudos to them for, understanding what their sport needs and, how to keep people engaged. So good job on that part.
Absolutely.
Yes, very much so.
Alrighty, and then the headliners of that the MRA, we're talking about the open class. So here, once again, you're going to see mostly rails. Most of them are rear engine. Few people go in there with some front engine machines. They do the same type of setup as the modified class, where they run cuts one day and then paddles the next. As Isaac said, that got all shuffled into one day for this round. So essentially, you're looking at a top alcohol vehicle what would see in the sand.
Pretty much.
As far as I am aware, engine configuration is unlimited. I don't believe they allow nitro.
That's about the only limit.
But that's yeah, you run a blower, you can run a turbo, you can run nitrous, you can
You can run all three.
all three of them stacked together. I believe still 150-inch wheelbase limit on that
Correct.
is still.
Yes. Yep.
And then obviously everything in MRA 4-wheel drive. So, running the cuts first. Isaac, tell us a little bit about the open cuts class.
So the Kelly Odell open cuts class, 7 cars in open paddles, 7 cars in open cuts, basically saying, 7 guys. And yeah, the only front engine car on the property, Billy Fling takes the win in open cuts with a 222 with a 7. Steve Renaud comes all the way from Canada with that frantic machine, big Noonan horsepower there, much like you see Justin Swanstrom and some of the other No Prep Kings guys. Comes in with a 223 with an O. Travis Shoemaker in the High Roller 4, 223 with a 4. And then Kevin Harrison right behind him, 223 with a 5. And then Tyler Coolidge with that brand new car out of the Racing in the Dirt shop, Nightmare 7, goes 228 with an 8. So nice outing for those guys, first time around with that new chassis. So so Billy Fling picking up the win. Like I said, the only front engine car in the open class. So
I think that's cool. I mean, it goes to show you don't need the motor behind you to go fast.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. So, but yeah, and again, open cuts. I mean, yeah, 150-inch wheelbase, 4-wheel drive. That's, and a cut tire. I mean, that's really the only rules, so.
Yeah. And we're seeing that they're running faster than the modified class on paddles. And then they're going to go even quicker now that we swap over to paddles on the open class. So this is where you're going to find the fastest times of the event.
Yep. So Dan Richter open paddles class. Kevin Harrison takes the win there, 202 with a 6. And I was talking to Eric Bidlack after their after their open cuts pass. And Eric felt that he had left a little on the table as far as with that car in open cuts. And I believe his exact words were, that's not going to happen in the paddle class. So, but Steve Renaud taking second again. So second place in both of the open classes. Nice trip for them down from Canada. 204 with a 6. And then Billy Fling, 208 with a 4. So front engine car still doing well there.
Yeah, on the podium.
Jim Ingram out of Texas. Big Brad Anderson Hemi in that car. And talked to those guys just a little bit. They drove 16 hours one way to get there. And Jim comes home 4th with a 211 with an 8. And then Tyler Coolidge, again, sliding into that 5th spot there, 214 with a 2. So I would say that's a very pretty good weekend for those guys coming around and with a brand new car. And, I talked to Scott Orogi and Tyler as well, and Joel Coolidge afterwards. And they both felt that was a very good weekend with that car, coming out of the box, and felt that there is a lot of room for improvement there. So really cool to see that and see those guys do well. And also, since they currently own the former Ellington family junior funny Jeep, it was also good to see that thing there as well. So
oh yeah, that was super cool. We also, speaking of sand cars out there, we saw another sand dragger running in the mod paddle class, I believe.
That is correct. Yeah, it was funny. We literally were coming in the gate, and my wife had asked me, "Do you actually know anybody here?" And I honestly said, aside from Scott, which I had not seen Scott in 10 plus years at this point. I mean, we talk on the phone, but we had not seen each other for that long. I says, aside from Scott, I don't really know anybody here. We had no more than parked the car, and we were walking towards Tech, and there is Dave Mallow, Leighton Mallow, and their crew, Bill Sutton, getting their car teched in, and their plan was to run mod paddles, which would have been the Friday night class. They did make a hit later on. I got to be honest, I think that little small block might have been competitive. I mean, you know, yeah, you know, it would have been a really interesting pass. Ironically, Jason Massey, your Mod Paddles winner, actually was right next to them, making a hit with them. And yeah, to the 60 foot, those cars looked like they were pretty close. So I think that little small block could have held its own a little bit had they actually been able to run the class on Friday night like they were planning to. So,
well, always next time, and that's exactly what Damian was talking about a little bit earlier. Trying to get some cross pollination between the mud and the sand world. Hopefully, we see some more sand drag guys go out, and as long as their car can be legal for the MRA stuff, like it's a little shorter track, a little bit heavier, but there's definitely some sand vehicles out there that could do a good job, and vice versa. Love to see some mud guys come over and try some stuff. But we're going to be having plenty more from MRA races this season.
I hope so. I mean, we took a ton of footage at this one. I don't even think all of it's in the Dropbox yet even. So hopefully we've got some really good stuff in there yet. And I tell you what, talking to some of the pro stock / open, or outlaw pro stock guys as well, there was definitely some interest in possibly some Pro Truck Elite or maybe even some Outlaw Series stuff. I had actually one of the open class teams asked me that they also field an Outlaw Pro Stock. What was a race they could bring both of their vehicles to and be able to run both of them in the same weekend? So there's definitely interest there. I would think the surface from this past weekend there in Missouri, there's a lot of four-wheel drive cars that we all know that I think would have done very well out there and held their own, especially in that pro stock, outlaw pro stock, type of setup. So, and maybe even, to be honest, maybe even in the mod classes, it would have been interesting. Let's put it that way. So,
sure. Well, once again, thank you, Isaac, for that recap there. We're going to get our next segment here.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and go through a little bit of a story, a little bit of results from our friends over in Iceland. Jacob was kind enough to be able to get us the results for the Car Days Festival Sand Drags in Akurey, Iceland. And a little bit of a bummer that we're going to start out with it. Car count pretty low. We looked at total entries is like 20 to 30 cars there, the cars and bikes combined. This is Iceland's, biggest event that they have out there. They combine this with drifting, with Formula Off-Road, car shows. I mean, this is the big show for Iceland as far as the car scene out there. And Sand Drags is suffering a little bit. The future of it is kind of been up in the air a little bit past few years, and not looking good with this participation. Once again, should be the biggest event that they have in the year. So we're sad about that. If you guys are listening from Iceland, I'm sure that they will share this podcast around when they hear about it. We want to see more racers out there. They've got tons of different classes for ATVs, for dirt bikes, for Jeeps, for cars. We're going to get into the results here. We apologize to all our Iceland friends. We are going to absolutely butcher, murder, like destroy these names. Kody is going to kick us off with the teenagers class. This is a teenage motorcycle class. Kody, take it away.
Eesh. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take a shot at this. Teenagers. What's that? First place, Christopher Mjani Greterson.
That sounded pretty good to me.
As long as it sounds fluid, that's all I care about, right? Second place, Friedrich Ormerson.
Is that a D?
I have no idea. It looked like a cursive D to me. Yeah, so there's your teenagers. Single cylinder, looks like there was like 2 classes of that maybe.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention that. So they did 2 different rounds. So they basically run the same class twice within the event. So results for the teenagers class, same for rounds 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. So single cylinder. So Einar Pjol Benekson. Runner up. Arman Orn. That's an awesome name. Sigursteisen. He also got second place in the other class. Won't even bother repeating that. What's that? Sigurdur Bjornsson?
Yeah,
There's
we'll
your
go with
single
that.
cylinder.
Close enough. If we've got it wrong, tell us how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let
please.
us know. Let us know in the comments. Like we said, it's going to be fun here. I'll take the next 2 classes here. So moving into the 2-cylinder motorcycle class. Round 1, first place, Hrarnar Igni Otarsson. Second place goes into David Thor Ilnarsson.
Wait, hold on. The dude's middle name is Thor?
That's Thor, yeah. I do know that.
Front door, dude. Holy cow, that's awesome.
It's a very common thing within the Icelandic names. So, and then David Thor Ilnarsson gets first place in round 2. They just basically swapped here. So second place going to Hrarnar Igni Otarsson in second place there for the 2-cylinder motorcycle class. And then I've got another easy one here. Rounds 1 and 2, same results here. So this is basically open ATV. And we have Friedrich Hognesson and Björgvin Stinarsson taking second place there in the ATV class. So once again, same result there for round number 2. Isaac.
Okay, so I have the Jeep class. The first place winner in session 1 and session 2 was Omar Friedrichsen. So he won both of them, both the first session and the second session. First session, your runner-up was Johannes H. Hawkinson. And your runner-up in session 2 was Svendi Yuri Carlson. I bet he's a hockey player. All right. And for snowmobiles, we had the same finishers in session 1 and session 2. The winner is Inar Orn Reinisen. And second place was Armin Orn Sigurdsson. So it was the same on both of them. So congratulations to those guys.
Damian?
Now we go for the
out
car
here?
guys. something more akin to what I'm used to, but some fun names here. For the cars, the first and second place was the same for both round 1 and round 2. Xavier Paul Stephenson takes the win. Christians Bjanja, I want to say how that is Brynjr, takes second place in both runnings of the class. Then the Formula Off-Road class, probably their biggest car class they had there, because also they had the Formula Off-Road event there. Formula Off-Road, the first round of it and second round of it, the winner is, you said that was Thor, is how that said?
Yep.
Thormar Halson. And then second in the first one was Halfstein Thorvaldsen. And then in the second running of the class, Jester J. Ingolson. I believe that sounds right.
Sounds good to me. I mean, like we said, apologies again. I guarantee we butchered all of those. But we wanted to give a shout out to all the guys that did show up there. Once again, if you guys are one of those sand racers in Iceland, support the sport out there. We don't want to see it die. Formula off-road scene is great out there. They got a great drift scene. I know a lot of the guys are probably moving to the pavement drags out there, but we want to see sand drags continue. We also did want to make note. There was a couple accidents that occurred. So we had one of the motorcycle racers, Steengrimir, and then a snowmobile racer, Einar Oren. Both of them crashed. That's what we saw in the snowmobile class. I think Einar didn't participate in the second one. We just had the other racer in there. And wish him a speedy recovery. So if you guys are listening to this, we hope you guys are doing well. We know we're going to try to get updates on their conditions and as we know more. But be on the lookout for a highlight video. Our good buddy Jacob over there sent us over some pretty cool footage that he took. So make sure you guys are following Jacob C on YouTube as well for the rest of his coverage from the Car Days event outside of the sand drag stuff. Damian, you had a little note on
I was
that.
going to say, big thing with the Iceland guys. Y'all still have one of the records here in the WSDN record books. The AA dragster, which is Valder Vifilson, and his Pro Charge dragster. So you guys are still represented in the world record books. So go out there and try and grab some more. You guys have some cars with potential to do it.
Absolutely. So once again, that's your guys' little update, a little bit of breaking news, a little bit of a recap there from Iceland. All right, folks, and we're back. Kody Teters here is going to be telling us a little bit about the Bad Nationals coming up here at Thunder Valley Sand Drags.
Thanks, Caleb. Yeah, Bad Nationals once upon a time was the staple of Thunder Valley Sand Drags. They would it used to be the only Nationals race that they hosted. There's two now, and our fall race is a little bit more prominent, but people still get excited about the Bad Nationals when it comes around. They are kicking it back down to 2 days. Thank goodness. They stretched it out to 3 starting in 2020. Fun fact behind that, Missouri Thunder Valley was one of the only tracks that was open during COVID. So track owner saying, hey, these guys might need some time in their cars, so they added the Thursday, making it a 3-day event. That overstayed its welcome, in my opinion. Now it's back to 2, so it should be a fun event. Friday night, we've adopted this kind of from Damian, you would know better than me, the 50-50 stuff.
The game. Sorry, I missed that.
No, you're good. The 50-50 classes.
Like a gambler's race.
That's like what y'all do around there, right? Or is that Michigan?
That's what we do after the fact. Usually, if we do like a gambler's race after the racing's over, say we get done at 10 o'clock or something, and they're able to fit in another small class.
We stole that from you guys, if I remember right. $50, 50% payback, winner take all. It's a fun class to run Friday night. The people who win actually really love it. Everybody else kind of, So we got cars and ATV versions of that class. We have quick 16 cars and ATVs, that class used to be really popular back in like early 2000s. Now it's just kind of like, okay, we expect it. Yeah, cars, ATVs, versions for that. Test and tune, 2 qualifying sessions, Friday the 28th of June. Oh, I didn't even say that, did I? June 28th, 29th, Bad Nationals.
I was going to back you up at the end.
Okay, appreciate it. Saturday, that's the big race day. They kick off with the kids in the morning, peewees and juniors. They got an open money bracket class for the cars called Pro Comp. They got open trophy classes for cars and ATVs, Sport Comp for the cars, Sport ATV for the ATVs. 2 money classes for the ATVs, Pro 1 and Pro 2, $4.99 and faster, 5 flat and slower. And then the side-by-side class, also a money class. But that's our regular program usually. For this event, they add the top alcohol, top eliminator classes, of course. Top eliminator, as Billy said, we'll reiterate it this year. Starting next year, not so much. 295 index. That class is pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, that's like the featured class for, things to go quick in sand drags nowadays.
Yeah, I would
I'd
say.
agree with that.
Top alcohol is kind of like fizzled out, unfortunately. What do we have, like 3 left? 3 or 4, unfortunately, like in the whole country?
I mean, if we put everybody that still has a car around, even if they haven't run it super recently, we could have an 8 car field, but that's from
That's all over.
Southern California to Michigan and
And
everything in
that's not
between.
just dragsters, that's Aldards, Jeeps, and a few Fast Fours running nitro.
Yeah.
So, it could be prominent one of these days again, but unfortunately it's fizzled out. But they amped it up a couple years ago. We have a $500 entry fee because the idea was we'll maybe get max 4 of them, and nobody's going to drive and bring all their, expensive equipment race for $1,000. So, bumped it up a little bit, $500 entry fee, 100% payback. So if you guys want to go fast, have no time blocks on you, win some, decent money, come on out. Speaking of money, top eliminator, if 8 entries or more, they're adding $1,000 to the pot.
Wow.
Ooh, that's gonna be a good payday.
They used to do something similar back when they would run the alcohol class. They'd have $2,000 added purse. So kind of cool to see them actually throwing
that's
money at the big classes again.
100% payback class as well, right, Kody?
Yep.
And what's
100% for
entry fee on that?
top eliminator is $200, I believe. Yeah,
So
$200.
$200, 100% payback plus an extra grand on top. Some good money there
So-
for those TE guys.
So if you run that race and win it, there's no excuse not to go to Michigan the next weekend.
There you go.
Got a little bit more gas money, yeah. But we've had the cool thing about being in Missouri. This race, unfortunately, like I said, it used to be the staple. It's not so much anymore. Over the last few years, there's been rain associated with it. A lot of people have driven from all over. It rained out. Super unfortunate, of course. But being in Missouri, like almost the center of the U.S., we get people from everywhere. California, Michigan, Indiana, Texas, Tennessee. People from all over come to Missouri. It's pretty neat deal. So if you just want to see a really cool show with some out of town folks bringing all their stuff in, this is a good place to go to as well.
Absolutely. Once again, Bad Nationals, Grain Valley, Missouri, Thunder Valley Sand Drags, June 28th and 29th. Coming up to you guys. Look out for that top eliminator class at an extra $1,000.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires. Scott, Shane, and company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.
All right, folks. Another event coming up here. The Outlaw Sand Drag Series is heading to Silverback. We got Damian here. Damian, big Outlaw Sand Drag Series guy, and Isaac, who's a Michigan native. So you guys are both going to be having some fun there out for the Outlaw Sand Drag Series. Isaac, your home track. Damian, your home series, I guess we'll call it. So tell us a little bit about it and what you guys are looking forward to.
Well, the big thing I'm looking forward to, I'm going up there trying to keep the points lead for the 4.0 class. Our 4.0 heads up index, I was able to sneak the win out of it down there at Cleves. But we've also got the Outlaw bracket, John Sorg leading the points in that, and the 350 index. God dang it, my brain, I'm drawing a blank on the winners from Cleves right off the top of my head of some of these classes. But then we also have the King of the Outlaws top eliminator class, last year topping over 20 entries in Michigan.
Yeah.
That class was huge. They had multiple first round buys to allow, basically they had 5 or 6, they had 8 cars trying to race their way into 4 spots into the 16 car ladder. And that was a huge deal up there because it took them a while to figure out how they were going to do that. Saturday, you have the King of the Outlaws eliminations. You have the Outlaw Index. Again, John Sorg and Matt Peel leading the points in that. So curious to see what Matt Peel borrows to run up there. And John Sorg's in second there. Then you also have an open sportsman bracket, an ATV sportsman bracket, and I believe an ATV index as well, or pro class. And then obviously they have the Pee-wees and juniors running that day. So it's looking to be a great weekend. Always a good turnout, especially a large number of our southern racers from here in Indiana, Ohio make the trek up. Usually a decent number of racers from Michigan. Hopefully we can draw some more. I know some people might be saving their equipment for the following weekend with the Pro Truck Nationals.
Yeah, so Isaac, being that we basically are seeing 2 big races back-to-back weekends there in Silverback Off-Road Speedway, what's been kind of the temperature up there as far as like, are people trying to make both? Are people saving it for one event or the other? Like, where do you stand on it?
You know, I mean, I don't know that we'll make the Outlaw race personally, only because Missouri last weekend, John Sorg and I are making a correspondent trip over to Greens this coming Saturday to do a little homework over there. So we'll have to wait and see, at least for myself. But I know most people with the holiday in between there are making a commitment to run both weekends that I've talked to. So I think it's going to be a two race stretch there of some really big weekends at Silverback and some really good racing. So brings in a lot of out of towners and a lot of, stuff that maybe you don't see a ton of, tends to show up those 2 weekends. So.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear that most people are kind of down to be able to do both. It's always kind of, little touch and go there just with how quick the turnaround is. But, a lot of the racers don't necessarily have full top eliminator builds either. So, we're looking at, lower maintenance vehicles. So hopefully it's just, hey, what do you got in the budget to be able to go out there? Summertime, in Michigan. It's a beautiful, beautiful weather out there, and it's going to be good to see some big racing out there with the Outlaw Sand Drag Series heading there. June 28th and 29th, same dates as Thunder Valley Sand Drags' Bad Nationals.
Yeah. And I think one thing to remember too, and this was this is what kind of makes a unique situation is Silverback being a permanent track. There's a lot of people that race at the track have seasonal, cottages and stuff like that, not far from the track. So for them, racing 2 weekends in a row isn't nearly as hard as it would be running, say, like Cleves one weekend and Brookville another, or Michigan, at Silverback one weekend and then going to, say, Brookville the next or something like that. When you don't have to have that big travel in the week in between, it's very easy to leave stuff there, or find someplace. I mean, there's plenty of places around that offer parking, or people that are more than willing to offer up some parking for the week, for guys that want to stay up. So really, I think it really helps with that, and really makes a big deal. I can remember when I was younger, and it was more it would be the East meets West race. Then you get a lot of the California guys that would come in, and stuff like that. And I just remember, stuff happening during the week in between the races, for really to keep them there, give them something to do and that sort of thing. And you see a lot of that thing coming through now with the Outlaw series and then Pro Truck Nationals going back to back. So
yeah, that's gonna be cool. And yeah, definitely, if you guys are interested, as Isaac was saying, plenty of opportunities for you guys to make your way up there, leave the vehicles over there. So if you are one of those out of towners, hit up, it's a great racing family up there in Michigan. They'll definitely get you sorted away so that you can come out there and do the double header.
absolutely.
You know better when that.
All right, guys, we're back with Damian Bowers. Damian's going to give us a quick little recap of Brookville, Brookville's race, Franklin County four-wheelers. So glad to make sure that they were able to get all their insurance issues figured out and able to host a race. So, Damian, take it away with some of the winners.
Well, Friday night, they just had a little test and tune, give everyone a chance to finally get on the track this year, because obviously first weekend being open this year with all the issues with the insurance. Saturday morning, they started off with the Pee-wees and juniors. Pee-wees class, Gabby Sneed taking the win over Kaysen Reibsommer. And in the juniors, Will Kaiser taking the win over Audrey Clem. So I can't remember what exactly the dial-in limitations are for them, but obviously all these names, as you like, Gabby Sneed is the daughter of Nathan Sneed, used to be the guy who ran Gravel-Rama for years, ran the IOK four-wheelers race chairman. Will Kaiser, his dad Lance Kaiser's got a little alder built by the late Brian Harrison, and that thing usually fairly fast. And then we got down into the night, slow class, Blake Halpin over Dave Ferry. Blake Halpin driving a little black Jeep CJ named the Side Chick. Dave Ferry, he just got into the dirt. He used to race asphalt with his brother Chris, who we'll get to here in a second. But he's running a little short bed Chevy, runs in the low 5-second territory. And they had to adapt all night because some timing system issues we'll get to here in a second. And then in the fast class, battle of the Bud Body cars, Chris Ferry, Dave Ferry's younger brother, taking the win over my uncle Tommy Bowers and Tommy's Turtle. Now, like I was mentioning with the lights issues earlier, Portatree had done an update this year. Something in that update has caused a system issue where when you go to activate the guard beam, it will not activate any triggers in the computer. So you don't get a reaction time until you pull completely out of the stage beam. So we had some cars that wouldn't wheelie that sat barely off the ground that would trigger the whole length of the car staying in the stage beam, giving us some ridiculous 60 foots in ETs compared to the mile an hour they were running.
Not only that, but they're going to get super slow reaction times. This kind of talks a little bit about what we were discussing last week with how these timing systems work. Without the guard beam, that's typically the start of your race. And so everything starting off the stage beam, those low slung cars, they're not breaking the beam until they hit those back tires. So super slow reaction time. And all of a sudden they've got, however long their vehicle is, closer to that 60-foot timer.
Right. And like I said, that was something, once we finally had figured out what was causing the issue as a group, it was too late in the day. We would have had to completely start over from time trials to truly, if they were to change it in the middle of the bracket. So They just went ahead and finished the night out. Everyone had to adapt to the same issue. So it was just one of those games of who adapted best. And obviously, Blake Halpin, Dave Ferry, Chris Ferry, and my Uncle Tommy were the ones who adapted best to those issues.
Yeah. Even with that, like you said, it is still a level playing field. You just got to adapt to it. And realistically, that harkens back to what a lot of sand tracks and pavement tracks used to do before even the invention of a guard beam. So kind of a little bit of an old school throwback there.
Oh, totally. And overall, the track itself, had the timing system been accurate, was capable of throwing up some killer numbers. They had a ton of moisture staying in the track. They had ripped it real deep, bringing the clay back up to the surface. It was holding together the best it has in years.
Very cool. And just so, because we didn't clarify, slow class and fast class, Damian, explain how that kind of works there with Franklin County four-wheelers.
Okay, Franklin County four-wheelers, to keep the points even, keep everything even, because everyone that's in the adult classes gets the same chance at points. Everyone runs their time passes, everybody dials in. The computer finds, say there's 20 cars, and the guy who's the 10th quickest and the guy that's the 11th quickest, whatever they're dialing would be the split. And so
it evenly splits your entire bracket class. And so that number changes event to event.
Exactly. So I don't know what the exact car count was this past weekend. It was a decent car count, but the break ended up being in the mid 440s. And that break will float anywhere from a 430 to a 5 flat, depending on the day.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. So timing system all figured out. They know what's wrong with it. Next event, things are going to be fixed within the little computer glitch. Fingers crossed.
Obviously, they probably already have called Portatree. Portatree's probably trying to figure out, okay, what caused this issue? Because Portatree's usually a great company to work with. They're willing to help any of their customers out and get this right.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen any kind of software upgrade between computers, phones, cars, whatever. You know what happens when sometimes they got a little bug in there and it causes a malfunction.
Exactly.
All right, and then Damian, what is your guys' next point race going to be at Brookville?
Our next points race is a little ways off here. I gotta scroll down on the page a little more, because obviously this coming weekend they're going to be having a DOT tire hard pack race. There's a car show going on at the Franklin County Fairgrounds, truck show, I mean, and they're going to be hosting a race. It should help out the club make a little money. Bring your helmet, wear long pants. That's about the basics of the safety rule if you're running a basic street truck. Come down, grudge race your buddy. I don't know if they're going to have a gamblers or a bracket race. I just know that they're going to be racing there to try and help out with this car show and whatnot.
You putting the DOT tires on your Jeep?
Not this time. We ain't got any quite prepared. That and third round, both me and my dad went out on Dad's pass. It ripped the front drive shaft out of the Jeep, so we got a little maintenance to do.
Gotcha. Next event there.
God dang it! I just had it up here a little while ago. Okay, here. Oh no, that's IOKs.
Bracket race. You guys, your fair race does not count towards points, correct?
For the most of the times, correct.
Okay, so the next bracket race coming to Franklin County Four-Wheels, Brookville, Indiana, going to be August 10th.
So yeah, you got a little while till the next points race. So it's looking to be a fun summer here still. Obviously, like we said, a lot of us are going up to Michigan next weekend for the Pro Truck for the Outlaw Series. Some will stay up for the Pro Truck, some will come back local and race at a race down here that's a non-points race. We'll talk about that more next week.
Absolutely. All right. All right, folks, back with Damian Bowers again, and we're going to be talking a little bit of a hot take, but kind of a cool thing, but kind of not. Tri-County Four-Wheelers in Lisbon, Ohio is putting on a big money bracket race June 29th. Now, if you guys have been listening, depending on how we throw the order in here, June 29th, we've talked about that date quite a bit. there's a few other big races going on that weekend. This big money bracket race, they're doing 100-car minimum, and $100 entry fee at that 100-car minimum. Payout that they're going to do off of that, $5,000 for first place. Runner up is going to get $2,000. Third place is going to get $1,000. Fourth place is going to get $500, and then they're going to do a first and second round buyback. Damian, what are your thoughts, first of all, on the date that they chose for this event, and then secondly, how they're doing this 100-car minimum and the payback on that?
Honestly, it puts a lot of their local racers that were originally planning on traveling in kind of a hard place, because Lisbon, they have such a low number of races this year in the first place, and then they schedule on top of a race where the guys that they do have that travel, Ken Donaldson with his Bronco, sometimes the Knopsiders, sometimes the Darlings, and there's a handful of others, Zora Peters, her boyfriend Cameron Krug, they like to travel and come to the Outlaws races. And that's kind of putting them in a rock and a hard place, because they also would love to support their local track. Also, with Tri-County, I've heard they were wanting to try and draw outsiders, guys from here in Franklin County, guys from Michigan. Guys from Michigan, they're going to go to their local track. A lot of our local racers that have been to Michigan are most likely going to keep going to Michigan with this situation. I would love to have gone to Lisbon for this kind of race. I would love to go to Lisbon, period. But when, like me, I'm following the points for the Outlaw series. That's been what I've done for years. I'm not going to go out of my way for a race that I'm not even sure they're going to get the 100-car minimum to get this $5,000 payout, because
I can
don't know
guarantee
what
you they're not with, I think to do a class like that, 100 cars, that's a lot of cars, okay?
Oh,
I
totally.
mean, I think most sand drag tracks, if you can get 100 cars out there, actual 100, individual cars, not combined entry across all your classes,
or just
that's
100 individual entries of different people.
even at that point too, for a single class, right? That's hard to do, and that generally necessitates you to be able to reach outside of your local crowd. Now, putting this race June 29th, as you said, same race weekend as the Outlaw Series in Silverback. There's already been a lot of people that like yourself that follow the Outlaw Sand Drag Series, including people from Tri-County four-wheelers, that they're going to follow the point series. They can't go here to a big money bracket race where they're banking on the number of entries. I mean, as far as I've seen here, there's nothing added here for any, here's the people coming. If you had a list here and you said, oh, cool, hey, we're easily over that 100-car minimum, a little bit different story. But no entry list for pre-entries in there. And Damian, maybe you know a little bit more than I do. I don't know. I don't see anything on the flyer here. What are they going to do if they don't get that 100-car minimum?
That is something I personally do not know. I would have to talk to someone who's more of a local to Lisbon. I know that from people telling me, the guy running Lisbon this year is more of a local racer. He doesn't travel very often, if at all. So he's just like, oh, we'll just do this weekend and we'll get people from out of town. But as much as I would love to see it happen, I just don't see it working out.
Yeah. I know Isaac was on with us earlier and we talked a little bit off air, and he was kind of looking at this kind of the payout structure and the 100-car minimum, and doing a little bit of the math on there. We're not even looking at 100% payback at that 100-car minimum. He was saying, and I tend to agree with him, that typically you like to see something to sweeten the pot, or have some sort of guaranteed payout, regardless of your minimums. He's talking about Pro Truck races, Pro Truck Nationals, having a guaranteed payout even regardless of a minimum entry. I think that might have been something that could help them salvage this a little bit.
Oh, totally. And again, I had mentioned earlier that next week we'll talk more about the Franklin County Big Money Race, but I know that even at 60 cars, they had a lot of sponsors come in the previous year, 60, 70 cars, and they had it pay out. First place paid $6-7 grand to win. And that wasn't even near the 120 cars they were trying to get. I know years past we had gotten 120 car weekends on the regular for a while at Brookville, but right now with the economy the way it is, it's hard just to get 70.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to your point, that was added money from sponsors too. So we, as far as I see here, the only thing that I see is that if they have a perfect light during eliminations, okay, which not saying it's not going to happen, but you know, that's tough to do. Perfect light during eliminations gets a $500 bonus, which that is cool. That is a bonus that they're adding on there, but
Yep.
that's also not a guarantee. You got to be really on your game to kind of light a
Oh,
perfect light period in a weekend, let alone during eliminations.
especially in the dirt, because you never know what kind of consistency you're going to get till the day of the race, and that can change the way you react from up to a 10th sometimes.
Oh, for sure. So buyback on that. First round buyback $10. Second round buyback is $30. Once again, they're looking for 100 cars there. They are going to have a kids race, and that's just a normal trophy class. This is just a big adults class that they're trying to get 100 cars there. Not sure that they're going to get it. We do wish them the best, and hopefully, just this kind of a PSA to promoters out there and stuff. You know, try to work with local tracks around you, close and afar.
Even
Especially like this, you know, yeah, we're talking Ohio to Michigan, but knowing that, you know, you've got a big race where you're going to have a lot of people you don't want to make it a weekend where they have to make a decision, you know, make it an easy decision for them to just, yeah, sure, it's a free weekend, nothing around it, we're good to go.
totally. Now, just as a small plug for them this weekend, they are doing their hill climb and obstacle course racing. So if you've got a car that you want to do some hill climbs with, they have a single stair step hill climb they run. Its record, I believe, has been set for over 20 years, almost 25 years, I believe. So if you want to go try and do some hill climbing this weekend, check out Lisbon. They're doing their I believe it's the rodeo this weekend. Nope, it's just a hill climbing obstacle course. It's not the rodeo, but I believe it's a fun time. It climb up in through the woods, so kind of a heck of a visual to look at.
Definitely scenic. Well, on that silver lining, that's going to wrap up our little preview of the Tri-County Four-Wheelers Big Money Bracket Race.
Make it quick, please.
Yes, we will. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Northern. Oh shit. All right, hold on. Here we go. All right, here we go.
You will not edit that out, Billy Teters. Okay, you will
3,
not
2,
edit that.
3, 2, 1, go. Northern Power Race Park presents their track record shootout, and also called Midsummer Dirt Drags. Is located in Mansalona, Michigan. John, how far is this from Silverback?
Oh, from Silverback, I'm guessing it's about 2 hours. But to be honest with you, I haven't really mapped it out except for from here.
Okay, well, no biggie. It says it's their biggest dirt drag event ever. It's 2 days, and they're doing a track record shootout on Friday, and they're competing. You can compete to see if you can earn their new track record, and the fastest pass of the day will win the track record payout. No registration fee. You just must be registered for the Midsummer Dirt Drags and pay the gate admission and participate all. Wait, excuse me. And pay the gate admission to participate. All registration will be done at the park. They got a few classes. They're going to do Powersports, Daily Driver, Pro Stock, Modified, Any Tire, Outlaw Street, Outlaw Door, and Open. So I don't know
Now, I'm
any of
assuming
the
that's all heads up too, but
more than likely.
yeah, it seems like they got a class for about everything.
Oh, they got the rules for each class right here, but I'm not going to read those.
Right.
So yeah,
Where can we see that at, Billy? Is there a Facebook
they have
page or something
they have
go to?
a event page. They have a Facebook page for Northern Power Race Park, but you can also check out the event page for NPRP Track Record Shootout and Midsummer Dirt Drags. And like I said, happening in Mansalona, Michigan this Saturday. So that's another race going on this Saturday, but we also know of another one. We talked about Green's drag strip last week in, well, I don't know where it's at, but the Mid-Michigan Trail Runners, Green's drag strip. Our boys, Jon and Isaac, are heading up there this
Yes, we're gonna go
weekend.
hang out with the crew over there, check it out, have some fun. It's supposed to be hot.
You know, ever since we talked about their what could have been flawed, we had some feedback about that. So
definite hate mail.
Yeah, it'd be fine. I mean, people defend that, you know, they're gonna defend their work, and that's
Obviously
that's normal stuff. Yeah, but you know, I can appreciate the honest takes. It's all good. That's all we give is honest takes. Whether they could be right or wrong, but they're takes.
We never claim to be always right.
Yeah, so they're gonna go out there and just enjoy themselves at the race and check out the track and make sure the timing system doesn't do any weird stuff. So Mid-Michigan Trail Runners, Green's Drag Strip this weekend as well. Just a bracket race.
Yep.
Man, I'll tell you what, I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. If you got it, kind of like their idea. If you got a track that's, you know, nobody's got anything scheduled, and you just say, "Hey guys, let's come out. Let's just concentrate on X amount of classes and see who can be number one at this track." I don't know, man. That's kind of neat. That might be something that catches on.
Oh,
you know, like
the record
Silverback.
shootout thing. The record shootout thing.
Yeah, I kind of I like that. Man, I don't mean to sound bad, but I like that better than just everybody just going for a record. Like to go there and have classes and then be able to break the track record. And if they get lucky to break World Sand Drag News record or anyone else's record, then great for them. But that could be pretty cool, man, if you think about it, especially for the locals.
Yeah,
you know, that's neat. I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and make it like just like one of those days. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that would be fun. So yeah, that's happening this weekend.
I do got a question.
Well,
Jon.
Sure.
When you go there, are you going to be doing any live videos?
I will not promise to anything because, as you know how it is when you're trying to race and do videos. I'm hoping with
so
Isaac
you're racing. Okay.
Yeah, and Isaac is racing too, so both of us are maybe between the two of us, but I got a feeling we're going to land in the same class.
And he's got issues of seeing over the guardrail sometimes too. You know, he can't always just be.
Yeah, I hope you trip and fall, okay?
Oh my God.
Hey everybody, this week's episode brought to you by Racing in the Dirt. Located in Cleveland, Wisconsin, Racing in the Dirt has been in the off-road parts, equipment, and chassis business for over 30 years now. From full chassis builds, currently at 50 and counting, to wheel adapters, brake kits and components, hub kits and components, steering parts and knuckles, suspension parts, air filters, complete chain drives and parts, also real wheels and even cut tires, Scott Shane and Company can get you hooked up with everything your dirt drag, sand, or mud ride needs. New from Racing in the Dirt for 2024, UTV offerings. From full cages to protected bars, with more parts to come, they're stepping into the UTV market with some new stuff. So find them on the web, racinginthedirt.com, or connect with them on Facebook, or give them a call. Area code 920-693-2000. That's area code 920-693-2000. And the UPS Daily, racinginthedirt.com.